Greta Thunberg is a teenage climate activist from Sweden who has become a global phenomenon in the fight against climate change. At just 15 years old, Thunberg began skipping school to protest outside the Swedish parliament, demanding that her government take more aggressive action to combat climate change after a series of devastating wildfires. Her sign read "School Strike for Climate," but it was her youth and directness with her speech that began to earn Greta the attention of both traditional and new media. Her protest quickly gained traction, and she soon became a leading voice in the global climate movement. Her own Fridays for Future movement captivated the youth of the world, with an estimated 7.6 million students striking on Friday. As a big fan of icebergs and long weekends, I can certainly get behind that idea. Exploding in popularity, political figures were lining up to get told off by the stern Swedish teen, and she has since addressed world leaders at the United Nations, spoken at major climate conferences, and even met with the Pope. Other than her youthful appearance and strong words, one of the most striking things about Greta was her ability to speak so passionately in front of large crowds and world leaders. No doubt this is partly down to the desperate urgency with which she treats the climate crisis, but Greta also comes from a family of performers. The child of Sven Thunberg, an actor, and Malena Ernman, an opera singer who once performed for Sweden on Eurovision. Greta's activism has been a huge part of the family since she was in elementary school, convincing her parents to buy an electric car and stop flying, something that ended her mother's international performing career. Although her family are extremely hesitant to attribute any of Greta's rise to their existing fame, connections, or experience, they both uphold that until getting inspired by the climate crisis from a documentary about plastic pollution. Greta was almost non-verbal except with her family and a few trusted teachers. Her mother wrote about a younger Greta in her book Our House on Fire, Scenes of a Family and a Planet in Crisis. She cried at night when she should have been sleeping. She cried on her way to school. She cried in her classes and during her breaks, and the teachers called home almost every day. She was slowly disappearing into some kind of darkness, and little by little, bit by bit, she seemed to stop functioning. She stopped playing the piano. She stopped laughing. She stopped talking. And she stopped eating. Greta was hospitalized after losing dangerous amounts of weight. She was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, a form of high-functioning autism and OCD. After responding well to treatment, Greta has now become a role model for people of all ages struggling with autism or Asperger's syndrome, showing how neurodivergent voices can make a dramatic difference even in matters of existential consequence. How dare you? Greta scolded the UN Climate Action Summit in September 2019. "You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words." Her speech was watched by millions around the world. But this is just one of the many instances of Thunberg's activism, having led protests in cities worldwide, including the largest protest in the history of Montreal, with over 7 million people said to be in attendance. It is no surprise that later that year, Thunberg was named Times Person of the Year, the youngest ever recipient of the award. The core of Thunberg's issues with world leaders was that they don't practice what they preach. But that is not the case with Greta. One of the main criticisms leveled at so-called green politicians and celebrities is that they fly to these climate conferences on private jets. Eager to prove that she is cut from a different cloth, Greta crossed the Atlantic Ocean twice on a zero-emission sailboat to attend the UN Climate Action Summit in New York in 2019 and COP26 in Glasgow in 2020. She also completed a transatlantic crossing in 2021 from the United States to Portugal on a zero-emission racing yacht. Thunberg's activism has been met with both praise and criticism. Some argue that her message is an important wake-up call to the world, highlighting the urgent need to take action on climate change. Others, however, have criticized her for being too extreme in her demands, and for her uncompromising attitude towards those who disagree with her. After all, not everyone is able to travel by racing yacht. This uncompromising, blunt attitude has become a trademark of Thunberg's, only growing her online viral appeal. In early 2023, Thunberg was involved in a war of words with the ever-controversial Andrew Tate. Tate boasted about his love of supercars and their negative effect on the environment. During the exchange, Tate was pictured alongside a delivery pizza box. Coincidentally, Tate was arrested by Romanian authorities just hours after the exchange, with many online believing that the pizza box in the image he sent to Greta is what led authorities to his address. The young activist simply responded, "This is what happens when you don't recycle your pizza boxes." One of the other criticisms of Thunberg is that she is too young to fully understand the complexities of the climate crisis. Some have even gone so far as to call her a puppet being used by adults to push their own agenda. However, Thunberg herself has stated that her age should not be used as an excuse to dismiss her message. She has pointed out that young people will be the ones most affected by the consequences of climate change, and that they therefore have a right to speak out and demand action. According to Greta, her speeches are now vetted by a team of scientists to ensure the factual validity of her claims. Despite these criticisms, Thunberg's activism has had a significant impact. Her message has resonated with people around the world, and her protests have led to a renewed sense of urgency in the fight against climate change. In addition to her activism, Thunberg has been outspoken about the importance of mental health. She has been open about her own struggles with depression and Asperger's syndrome, and has encouraged others to speak out about their own mental health issues. Thunberg's message is simple: the world must take urgent action to combat climate change, and we must all do our part. Her activism has sparked a global conversation about the importance of protecting the planet, and her determination and passion have inspired millions of people around the world to join the fight. Critics may argue that Thunberg's activism is too extreme or that she is too young to fully understand the complexities of the climate crisis, but her message and the impact she has had on the global conversation cannot be denied. Whatever your stance on climate change, the world needs more voices like Thunberg, speaking out and demanding action on the most pressing issues of our time. Thanks for watching this video on Greta Thunberg. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. If you want to learn more about Greta, you can click the link in the description and let us know which human influencer you'd like to see next.